Buddhism is not just an ordinary religion, but also a profound philosophical system that explains the meaning of the world and of life. It focuses mainly on the cause of suffering and points out the way to end it. Similar to many other religions, Buddhism also has a hell. It's a place where a person goes after they die and is a part of the reincarnation process. Buddhism considers hell as one of 6 realms that exist in the world, consisting of the realms of gods, humans, asuras, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell. But unlike many religions that describe hell as a specific place, hell in Buddhism is not exactly a physical location. It's understood as a state of suffering formed by the accumulation of karma. To put it simply, Buddhism sees hell as being like the monsters in those movies about exorcists who go around fighting each other. If humans no longer have karma, then hell will cease to exist. And because it is born from the bad karma of humans, hell is not a fixed thing. For each type of sin, there's a separate hell. And today I'm going to summarize all the levels of hell in Buddhism, so you guys know what karma to avoid, or simply put, so you know the location of your future residence. Please note that this is information I have gathered, and the concept of hell in Buddhism has through different periods been influenced by many factors to make it easier to manage and instruct the populace. Sometimes it has even been influenced by other ideologies such as Confucianism. Hell is divided into 2 main types, the hot hells and the cold hells. I prefer the hot hells, so I'll talk about those first. Each level of hell will be described as a layer of the world model with an incredibly vast area, and the final level is wider than all the other levels combined. The first level is Sanjiva. It is a place of punishment for souls who have committed the sin of killing or have acted cruelly towards animals and humans. Here, revival means something akin to being brought back to life. This reflects the very nature of the punishment here, to be endlessly resurrected to endure a torment. And it's not just physical torture, but also mental anguish. When these people descend into hell, the demons will interrogate and punish them by stabbing, slashing, and crushing their bodies. Now, the act of demon guards torturing the souls isn't for the purpose of investigation to see what sins the soul has committed, because it's highly likely that these souls would just deny their sins anyway. And some sources say that after descending into hell, the soul will be shown a mirror, and all of their sins will be revealed there. They are tortured because hell in Buddhism is not just a place for a soul, but also a place to rehabilitate the soul. Souls after entering hell will often still be oblivious or not fully aware of their sins. This interrogation about their sins is intended to make those souls confront their evil karma directly. It helps the souls understand that each punishment, from there, it evokes a spirit of compassion in souls who have the potential for rebirth, so that they may renounce their evil deeds. After a period of being executed, the soul will die again. Then a bone-chilling wind will blow over that body, causing the body to revive and to be punished once more. This first level is also divided into many smaller sections, and each section has its own form of torture. For example, there's the region full of mud and filth, reserved for those who kill deer and birds. And the people here will be forced to eat that filth. Another area is surrounded by an iron wall, 1,000 miles high. Inside is a sea of fire and a rain of knives for those who kill out of greed. There's also some good news. If you get stuck in here, it's not the end of the world, because a soul isn't punished forever. Once they pay off their karmic debt, they will be released. But the bad news is the duration of the punishment. Here on the first level, it can last up to 1 trillion years. And each lower level means you have to endure a punishment. The 8th level, the 2nd level Kala Sutra, also called the Hella Division or the Hell of the Black Cord. It's for those who are chronic liars, deceivers, betrayers, or who live two-faced lives. As the name suggests, the surface of this level is covered by black threads. The souls sent here will be ensnared by these threads, which bind them, and divide the soul's body into small sections. After that, demons will use knives to cut the body along the marked lines. This represents how lies, no matter how sophisticated, still leave marks on the soul itself. And karmic debt must always be paid, if not in this life, then in the next. These black threads are not just a tool for punishment. They also symbolize the boundary between good and evil. It's like The line between good and evil is only as thin as one of those threads. And one lie, even the smallest one, Sakyo, can be enough to break that boundary. Along with the punishment of having the body cut up along those lines, it represents the division. A person is meant to be a unified soul of truth, and when you shatter it with lies, you're forced to face the division within yourself. It's kind of like lying so much it becomes a habit, and then you get to a point where you don't know who you really are anymore. The third level is Samgata, or the crushing hell. This is where the cruel, they are pushed by demons between two giant mountains of rock. These two mountains will slowly close in and crush their bodies. Afterwards, they are reborn only to be crushed all over again. In addition, the souls are also crushed. The pain doesn't just come from the physical compression, but also embodies the feeling of despair from having no way to escape. This punishment directly reflects which was using their power to crush those weaker than them. In some other sources I've read, it says this level is for the sins of theft and lust. The punishment isn't much different, but there's a bit of an update. There's a forest of trees with leaves sharper than knives. Sitting at the tops of the trees are beautiful young men and women who are constantly trying to tempt you with their words. If you can't control your desire and climb up, your flesh will be sliced off by those leaves. When you reach the top of the tree, you see the beautiful person is now at the bottom. So you climb back down, and this repeats for eternity. Furthermore, this level has a special subsection for those who commit crimes against children. Their punishment is to watch their own children being tortured, while they are hung upside down and have molten copper poured on them. The fourth level, Raurava, or the Screaming Hell, this is where the greedy are imprisoned, those who seize property or harmed others to satisfy their own selfish desires. It's called the Screaming Hell because this place is filled with the roars of sinners being burned by flames. These flames don't just burn the body but the soul as well, transforming them into terrifying creatures, like fire serpents, fire scorpions, or even worse, fire monsters. These flames serve as a warning that the greedy will be consumed by their own greed, burned away until they slowly lose themselves. Some sources also say that this level punishes, and that these individuals have their own separate area where they are plagued by countless diseases. The fifth level, Maharaurava, or the Great Screaming Hell, is for those who enjoy inflicting pain or harming others with their words. The pain on this level is similar to the fourth, but it's multiplied many times over. They are tormented, their bodies torn apart, and burned by monstrous creatures. Some sources also claim that the sinners will also have their tongues pulled out with pliers, or have nails driven through them before being torn out. Afterward, the tongue immediately grows back, but the pain on this level isn't just physical, they are also tormented mentally, as they are forced to listen over and over again to their own words and actions, along with the screams of their victims. The screams here don't just represent the suffering of the one being punished, but also serve as an accusation, a testament to the crimes they committed. This level of hell emphasizes that the greater the sin, the farther the screams of regret will echo. From this, it teaches people that words can be more damaging than actions, so you have to be the burning hell. This is a place for those who murder or abuse others in a savage and cruel manner. The worst are acts like burning someone alive. It's described as being so hot that by comparison, the flames of the other hells would just be considered cool. The ground, instead of normal earth and rock, is made of sheets of molten metal. The souls who are brought here are placed on these metal sheets. For worse sins, they are drowned in rivers of lava. Unlike the fourth hell, where the flames are created from greed and devour the sinner's soul. The fire in this hell is a punishment, corresponding to that person's crimes. If you harmed another person's body, then your body will also be burned. If you harmed another person's spirit, at the same time, this fire will purify the soul, forcing the offender to face the karma that they themselves created. But the heat of this hell is still nothing. That is Pratapana, the great burning hell. It's for those who committed crimes of a genocidal nature, such as mass slaughter or inciting war. The souls here are not just burned or submerged in lava, but are also attacked by demonic beings who pierce them with flaming spears. They are forced to swallow hot things like molten iron, or it will have molten metal poured into their bodies. And when their karmic debt has been sufficiently paid, these metals will automatically disappear. The way this 7th hell is different from the 6th is that the 7th, it represents ferocity and destruction in a more comprehensive way, and its purpose isn't to purify the soul. Like the 6th level, which is specifically for sins that have gone far beyond the usual limits. In a way, it reflects the hierarchical and strict system of karmic retribution in Buddhism. Some other sources I've read say that the 6th and 7th levels are for those who insult Buddhism or commit evil acts against monks. The 8th level, Avitsi, also known as the uninterrupted hell, is for those who have committed the 5 graves. The name uninterrupted for this level means there is no interruption. In other words, if you've been sent to this level, then congratulations, you're never getting out. The sinners here will automatically heal, while demons use various instruments of torture on them. Descriptions of the punishments in this level, because it's so horrific that just by understanding them, you could cough up blood and die. But there are still some punishments that are listed, such as being burned and then dropped for 2,000 years. When they hit the ground, they will be torn apart by 4 dogs 1,000 miles tall, or forced to walk on a path of hot coals. So hot that the moment you step on it, your skin will immediately be scorched and peel off. But as soon as you lift your foot, it heals back, forcing the sinner to keep walking. And although the sinners in here can be freed by paying off their karma, it's nearly impossible. This means that soul will be tortured for all eternity. Okay, so those were the famous hot hells. Now we'll move on to the 8 cold hells. Unlike the hot hells where sins are usually born from by negative emotions like greed, lust, and so on, the cold hells, on the other hand, are for sins caused by apathy. There are very few records about this, so basically, the first levels are Buddha the blistering hell. It's described as a dark place. The people sent here are usually those who committed sins out of selfishness for the community, or were apathetic to the suffering of others. These sins usually stem from actions of ignorance, meaning they didn't understand others' pain, or simply didn't care. It doesn't come from malice, and there's no direct act of causing harm, so the punishment here is also the lightest. When souls arrive, they are met with a frost that causes their bodies to blister. This imagery clearly reflects the nature of their sin, a coldness born from the human heart. At the same time, it shows the necessity of having awareness and responsibility towards the community. The second level near Buddha, the bursting hell, is for those who betray trust, destroy relationships within families or communities, and cause emotional damage that can never be healed in others. People who scam others that can never be healed in others. People who scam others, betray their friends or family members will end up on this level. Bursting emphasizes the agony of the body shattering into pieces from the cold. Afterwards, these fragments will regenerate, but they can never be as whole as they were before. This brokenness is not just physical, it's also spiritual. When a betrayal occurs, it's impossible to mend the relationship back to what it was. Similarly, the betrayer will also end up hurting themselves, because they're always in a state of suspicion towards others, never finding any peace. This level represents a lesson that the connection between people is the foundation of life. The third level is Atata, the hell of wailing. The sins on this level are quite similar to the first level. It's also about being apathetic towards others. The difference is that the apathy on the first level is born from an excessive focus on oneself. The pain caused to others is unintentional. But the apathy on the third level comes from deliberately ignoring the pain of others. This means the sinners on the first level don't know that other people are suffering, or basically they just don't care whether others are getting hurt or not. But on the third level, they know full well how much the other person will be hurt, but they intentionally ignore it. To put it simply, it's like the crime of involuntary manslaughter versus premeditated murder. The name Atata originates from the wailing sounds of the souls as freezing winds pierce through every layer of their skin and flesh, creating a pain that goes down to the bone marrow. These souls are powerless to resist and can only let out these horrifying sounds. The fourth level, Hahava, the Hell of Screaming, a place for those who are not only apathetic, but also quick to deny responsibility, creating loneliness and despair for the vulnerable, or deliberately abandoning others in their time of need. Usually, this is a level of hell that ordinary people wouldn't even realize they're committing sins for. If the cold on the third level, then the cold on this level begins to freeze and destroy the nervous system, causing the sinners to scream in absolute terror emotionally. The fifth level of hell is Hahava, the Hell of Wailing. It's reserved for all those bad boys and players. This is because the souls here are all people who directly causing their victims to fall into a mental crisis that they couldn't escape from. In this level, besides being colder than the previous ones, the sinners suffering every single sorrow their victims felt, and must carry a regret that can never be soothed. The chattering teeth of the souls here create the very sounds that give this level its name. The sixth level, Atpala, the Blue Lotus Hell. From what I've learned, this flower, it symbolizes purity that has been defiled by its environment. It represents how a person can achieve serenity. At the same time, it also symbolizes they are always people who, when standing between the two choices of doing good and doing evil, for some reason chose to do evil, or simply because of hesitation. That's why the punishment on this level is also different from the previous ones. They have to endure being burned in a cold fire. The seventh level, Padma, the Red Lotus Hell. The red lotus symbolizes the layers of skin peeling off after being frozen solid, revealing the red flesh and blood underneath. At the same time, spikes of ice will rise up from the ground to pierce their bodies, causing blood to flow out and freeze instantly. Some sources say it was named this way simply because this level is shaped like a red lotus. For this level, I don't know what crime gets you sent down here. The eighth level, Mahapadma, or the Great Lotus Hell, with the image of a giant lotus flower symbolizing decay and suffering. The beauty of the lotus is distorted by the ambition, selfishness, and heartlessness of the sinner. Because this is the final level, this is the place where souls who have committed the most crimes for which there is almost no chance of redemption, like abandoning the core moral principles, the sinners here will be frozen completely solid, then shatter into tiny pieces, only to be revived and continue to break apart endlessly. And those are all the levels of hell in Buddhism that I was able to learn about. In general, it's a lesson about cause and effect and retribution, emphasizing that we must live consciously and must not harm others through violent actions. It calls for people to have empathy, to have compassion, and to be responsible in their relationships with one another. And I'll repeat that this information is mostly just what I found online, and throughout different eras in different countries, so if you all have anything you'd like to comment, please leave it down below.